Today I want to do a breakdown of all the Heroic Grail units in the game, at least up until Book 7. This will not be a full review of all 166 current Heroic Grail heroes. Rather, for fun, I want to answer some statistical questions I've been curious about. Just how many Red Grand Hero Battle Mages are there really? How many unique weapons are released on these free units? What's the distribution of Grail units for each Fire Emblem title? We'll answer those and more in the later part of the video. First off, I do want this video to serve as a look back at all the Heroic Grail units we've gotten. Skip ahead for fun statistical rundowns, but let's do a little reminiscing, see how things have changed. However, I'm going to keep things super brief. I'll have some notes listed down, and for unique weapons, we are only including weapons that units came with on release. Starting with Book 1, February 2017, Tempest trials weren't a thing, Heroic Grails were not a concept. To get extra copies of these units, it was only via their events and reruns. For the most part, not the craziest Grand Hero Battle beginnings. Narshian was our first Grand Hero Battle map ever, and Michaelis was the first to get a unique weapon. Things got pretty spicy with Zephiel since 4 more unique weapons rolled in. Xander and Camus were quite fun since they both had distant counter weapons, a premium skill back in those days. In June of year 1, the first Tempest Trials event kicked off. Infamous for being notoriously hard, for those that got beaten up by Veronica, your reward was Masked Marth. Again, Heroic Grails were not a thing, so Tempest Trials sometimes gave older reward units. Longtime players got 9 copies of Masked Marth over time, so they were one of the easiest units to plus 10. Toward the end of Book 1, things got wild. Volter's Grand Hero Battle was pretty difficult back in the day, and Black Knight is probably still the most insane free unit we got first time of release. Speedy Armor unit, distant counter weapon, and a busted unique Black Luna special. We then had some genealogy fan service with Arvis and Arden in quick releases. This was the same update when Sigurd and Ira came in with some definite favoritism, plus Ira's whole release situation was a huge issue. When we continue this look back, let's see if any other unit got a unique passive skill but didn't come with a unique weapon, such as Arden. Now Arden is also still, to this day, the highest HP unit in the game. It is rare to see 50 base HP, meanwhile Arden's hits 60. Last up, Joshua is noteworthy as he was part of the Choose Your Legends far-fetched batch of units with Lute, Mia, and Dorcas. These are 4 basically fan favorites in the first CYO voting, so they got into Fade together. Joshua is also the start of Generation 2 based at totals among our Grail units here. On to Book 2, New Year's Corrin was our first ever seasonal Heroic Grail unit. It would take a while before they became consistent rewards. Valentine's Eliwood was a decent unit since he was on the faster side for armors. We had the revenge of Takumi with his Fallen ult with another pretty annoying Grand Hero battle map. Melkana was our first Heroic Grail Dragon, not too many of those around. Now Linus was a very unique case. He released with Basilicos, which is actually shared with Raven. Since Raven already got a refine for Basilicos, Linus released with access to the same refine. Linus would later get his own Fang Basilicos and its own refine. Moving on, Ethlin was our first ever Heroic Grail healer. Garen, I think, was the first unit to neutralize Dragon effectiveness. That's still a pretty small club. Similar to Joshua, Aversa was part of the Brave Redux batch, which was the second round of units with a lot of votes in CYO 2. This theme did not really continue afterwards. Now Aversa would eventually become an incredibly popular unit, with Aether Raids launching in the next month, and Update 2.11 was when Heroic Grails became a thing. We also had Young Azura, who was part of the very odd Adrift banner. She was our first Heroic Grail dancer. Book 3 had a lot going on. This is when Tempest Trials units often became seasonal alts. Winter Cecilia was our first ever Heroic Grail dagger unit, and she's a rare armored dagger. Right before year 3, Beast units were introduced into the game. Nisala was our first free one to celebrate. We also got a decent amount of rare class types for free-to-play options. Hot Springs Camilla as a flying dagger unit, Valentine's Zatania as a red mage cav, Spring Loki as a flying archer, and Picnic Leo as a green mage cav. Backing up a bit, Pan was another beast to give more free-to-play options, and Rutger kicked off Gen 3 BST for Grail units. In the second half of the year, this was our first batch of summer Grail units. Fiora was the first non-5-star sword flyer in 3 years. This year was brutal on the orbs because right after summer, 3 houses released with back-to-back banners. Kronya and Death Knight joined the party, DK a lot less scary than his main game counterpart. Immediately after, CYO 3 hits, Sigrun is the random Heroic Grail accompaniment, and the start of Gen 4 BST. Now, this is when BST generations began increasing with each new CYO banner. Gen 3 was only about 60 units total. Meanwhile, Gen 4 onward is around 140 plus. Gen 1 and 2 were even bigger. Moving on, Renea was part of the first dancer-themed banner. Astrom and Bronya were decent units for their time. Book 4 started us off with Kemp and his neat Venom Edge. We got more rare class types with Winter Jafar and Near's Heir. We memed the heck out of Trevant and his Silver Lance Plus. Itsuki and the Tokyo Mirage Sessions units made their debuts to coincide with the game's port for the Switch. Yago just received his refined update 8.0. More Book 4 refines should happen in the next year. For Mini Minerva, she was part of the first Kids banner theme and received a unique weapon, plus a passive. Fallen Ashnard had a fun Grand Hero battle map on release since he was bugged to have a permanently charged Dragon Fang. I believe it literally had 0 cooldown, which was pretty funny. In the summer, not a lot of interesting gameplay additions to discuss. CBO 4 was a 3 houses sweep, the start of Gen 5 BST, and the very confusing addition of George. It was noted in previous years that George suddenly was jumping quite high in CYO voting ranks. He is an NPC merchant, not important to his game's plot, and unlike Gatekeeper, was not a fan favorite or involved in any kind of memes. The obvious conclusion was that someone was using bots. To further prove that point, George finished dead last for CYO 6 voting. To be fair, they made him a decent unit, gave him his own unique weapon, and his special art even includes his brother Daniel. Moving on. Dancer Elgin found some relevance with his high base defense to avoid isolation from Milla's turn wheel. Batrine is a neat unit since her Flame Lance is one of the few to only target the opposite damage type. Nemesis, the King of Liberation, got relegated to being a free unit. That was an interesting decision. As for Ninja Hana, the beginning of Ninja November banners and an excellent free unit since fast axe infantry were not that plentiful. She also dual wields any weapon you give her for extra style points. Book 5 once again gives us rare class combos for seasonal alts. Winter Felix is one of 2 blue armored archers in the game, and New Year's Keaton is one of 3 green beast infantry. Veld and Solon continue the gimmicky red Grand Hero Battle Mage weapons, and we got 3 X-Cavs in just this first half. Valentine's Veronica was the first free-to-play blue mage cav since La Rochelle, and there hasn't been another since then. Sonya is on one of the bulkier mages out there. Don't see 30 plus defense and res very often. Young Innes is definitely one of the better free-to-play units ever. His bow can pierce some damage reduction skills on special trigger, and it has accelerated specials. Exceptionally powerful ability for a free unit. I was very happy with him as a Sacred Stones fan, and then we got Orson. Aesthetically great, not the best unique lance. Still a little salty about no rune sword. Now in the summer, we got Summer Norn. There are 5 non-5-star lance infantry in the whole game. Lucas released 2 months after launch, and Norn has been the only one since then until November 2023, last month. Basically, 6 years with 1 new addition, yeesh. Continuing on, Peleus was our CWO 5 accompanying Grand Hero Battle. Probably should have gotten a weapon to himself since we had 3 red Grand Hero Battle Mages with inheritables in this section. At least he got Gen 6 BST. There were a couple more rare free-to-play class types. Holland Sophie is the only free-to-play blue flying mage. Sedgar is one of 3 free-to-play green bow calves, the only Grail option. Ninja Shamir kind of just was Hana 2.0, with Pirate Lifus being another similar unit. Book 6 was pretty spicy, starting with Yen Fei, a swordmaster with a distant counter and dodge weapon. Winter Ignatz is another rare armored archer, and Near's Kiza is the only free red beast unit. Reeve was a surprisingly good unit with free-to-play access to the rare stall status, and he's the only free-to-play mage with a sling tome. Atari Dean is a rare dagger cavalier, and Valentine's Lissa is one of 3 armored healers in the whole game. Later on, we got Young Boy with a neat biorhythm implementation for his weapon, and Hilda has the dominance effect for herself. Fallen Muwaram is the only beast unit with a unique transformation effect, and he's the only fast free-to-play infantry beast we got too. As for Bridal Laura, another flying dancer is great if you need to get around terrain. Next, Limstella is another bulky mage, this time in green. Summerlincia is a rare free-to-play flying archer, and her white cap bow is still a strong inheritable since it can get brave attacks. Somerset's Seahorse Axe is a free follow-up weapon, and we still don't have an arcane axe with a follow-up just yet. Maybe 3rd time's the charm. Thief Rickard's Florid Cane Plus can give Kanto to any sword user. Gerald kicked off Gen 7 BST with a decent weapon and tanky stat spread. Host came in with the 3 Hopes banner. This is also when rearmed heroes became a thing. Halloween Nils is our latest free dancer, and Ninja Hari's Wyvern Katana Plus offers the rare dual phase brave attacks. Book 7 was another great year for the Heroic Grail units. Han started us all strong, followed by the continued rare class types for the holidays. Winter Bruno, RIP, is actually our only non-5-star armored mage, and Near's Yarn is the second non-5-star beast cav. Lumera came in with the release of Engage, and she brought Elf Follow-Up 3, possibly to prepare for that tier 4. Spring Michaelis is the highest defense flyer in the whole game, and Vygar ties for the highest attack if you don't include super boons. Usually, back-to-back healers would not be exciting, but year 7 was the year of the healer comeback due to new damage specials and upgraded staff B skills. It helps when little Lucius and Cornelia get their own unique staffs. Lucius is also the highest res unit in the game. Now, Fallen Linus returned with a third unique weapon because 2 Basilicoses wasn't enough. Murdoch was an impressive free unit since he brought the potent special fighter, and he also has a distant counter and follow-up axe. Summer Melchez surfed on in with a dual-phase Brave Lance with Conto and true damage, Summer Donald was a trainee, Zephy is a rare flying mage, and Titan Totiu is a pretty good offensive free mage. Cyril came in with Gen 8 BST, and he's a trainee with a stat-focused weapon. He's also the only free red archer. Arian brings charge support for flyers. He would have been the highest defense flyer if it wasn't for Michaelis. Now, Halloween Kellum sneaked in as our first free-to-play sword armor since Arden in year 1. Ninja Saizo is the second free-to-play lance infantry since year 1, joining Summer Norn, and his inheritable Brave Lance is quite solid. Last up, Fargus was our 6th axe infantry of the year, but at least he brought his own cleaver with some fun warp support. That was 166 Heroic Grail units. Do you remember who the reward unit was at the time you started playing, or have you been around since the old days of just use Hector? Reminiscing out of the way, let's do some tallying. Here's a look at the distribution of each movement type of the units we got, split into their proper color for their weapons. To no surprise, we get infantry units a lot. 81 infantry, almost half our total. Combined, cavalry, flyers, and armors barely outnumber the foot soldiers, and there are more red infantry grail units than flyers and armors completely. You'll notice more blue cams and flyers and infantry. Lances typically reside on those mountain classes. Now, here's a class distribution, a little different from the last chart, but the colors now indicate movement type. I tried to match them to their dragonflower colors and combine colored bows, daggers, dragons, and beasts because there aren't as many. Interestingly, we only have 4 Heroic Grail Dragons, but almost double the amount of Grail Beast. There were also not many dagger units. For archers, we do have a decent total of 15. Now, for the colored tomes, to no one's surprise, yes, we do get a lot of Heroic Grail red mages. We just added another one who isn't on this chart. To be precise, 14 red mages were infantry, with blue having 8 of their own, then 4 green, 26 infantry mages, 6 mage calves, 3 flying mages, and a whopping 1 armored mage. For swords, lances, and axes, we got some clear stereotypes. Our 2 lance infantry units are balanced out by the 13 lance cavaliers and flyers apiece. That's more than sword and axe calves or flyers combined. The ever popular sword infantry class offers an impressive 14 Heroic Grail choices. However, it's the axe infantry who take the crown for the most Heroic Grail representatives. This is a bit skewed because in Book 7 alone we had 6 axe infantry. 25 of the Book 7 Heroic Grail units were axe fighters, and 1/3 of the total Grail axe infantry released in the last year. As a good comparison, 5 sword infantry released in Book 1 for the same 25% of the Grail unit class back then. From Book 2 onward, only 9 sword fighters have released. Next, let's see the distribution of Heroic Grail units for each Fire Emblem title. A couple games overlap characters, so I'm not sure if we can hand out a clear winner. However, just sorting by how the game does it, we have a tie at the top with 17 Grail units from Shadow Dragon / New Mystery, and then Fates. Right behind with 16 units are Blazing Blade and 3 houses. I think it's safe to assume that despite the slow start, Engage Alts probably will pick up steam in the coming years. Sadly, can't say the same for Tokyo Mirage Sessions. We have not gotten more characters besides that initial release. Besides those 2, Heroes is actually the lowest on the Grail unit count. However, we aren't including the free units from every book, plus these are just Heroic Grail totals, not overall unit distribution by game. Let's look at how many unique weapons have been released on Grail units. Out of 166 units, 63 got unique weapons, just under 40%. Book 5 was a low point with only 5 personal weapons, and all 5 came in the first half of the year. That later half was brutal, with 3 Grand Hero Battle red mages not getting anything. There were some rare class types, but no unique weapons. As someone who reviews these units, the last 2 years have been pretty good compared from Book 5, from 5 to 10 unique weapons, and then Book 7 had a record 12. That's almost half of the year's Heroic Grail units. I wouldn't expect that to be the norm, and I will say that 2 of those were healers, which is something we never saw before. Normally, you had to be a 5-star healer for any kind of special treatment. If we could stick around that 10 range this year, I think I would still be satisfied. Here's a rundown of unique weapons by weapon type. Beasts are a bit of an outlier because all beasts have unique weapons with the exception of one arcane inheritable. Meanwhile, despite the large number of axe units, sword units have the most unique weapons. For context though, 6 of those came in book 1. As for red mages, a lot of gimmicky red tomes inflating that number. Let's see how many Grail units got unique passive skills, well technically unique non-weapon skills. You don't need a chart for this one because only 4 units got unique non-weapon skills. Black Luna, Recover Ring, and Fall Up Ring were all in book 1. Dragoon Shield was during book 4, and we haven't gotten another one in 3 years. Remember what I said about Arden? He's the only one who got a unique passive, but not a unique weapon at the time. That genealogy update had 4 of the 6 characters with unique non-weapon skills. Now interestingly, Mini Minerva is up next, or at least very soon is up for a refine. I highly doubt Dragoon Shield is going to be the go-to A skill for a modern build, but it has Iota Shield. If part of her refine doesn't have Iota Shield as one of the effects, then I feel like Minerva loses part of her uniqueness. I really hope they consider that for the refine. Let's wind down with a couple fun statistics. First off, highest stats for the Heroic Grail units with the current level of Dragonflyers applied. Arden is still the king of HP stats, leading the whole game by a whole 5 points. For attack, Vargas with a super boon will tie with Vigard at 49. This ties for highest base in the game, but you're going to take second place due to super boons on other units. For speed, it's Summer Melchez with 46 speed. Fastest units in the game now already touch 49, not even counting super boons. For defense, Spring Michaelis and Halloween Kellum tie at 49. This is 1 point behind the top for all units. Last for res, Little Lucius actually leads the whole game with 49. Pretty surprising, 2 stat leaders among all the units are Grail units, although it does not seem like Arden is going to get beat anytime soon. Fun fact, if we flip things around, Arden ties with Zephiel for slowest Heroic Grail units, Lucius is the winner for lowest defense, while Spring Michaelis is the lowest res. Turns out these guys are min-maxing to the extreme. If you ever wanted to double dip on building a character with Heroic Grails, then there are 3 candidates. Michaelis, Linus, and Har each have 2 Heroic Grail versions. I wonder who will join them next, and I wonder if we'll get 3 Grail alts for a character one day. For some dubious candidates, you got the Robins. Technically they represent the same player avatar character, but the devs certainly treat male and female counterparts as separate entities for all purposes. You then got Marth, who just decided to wear a cool mask. If you want to add some Fae trivia to your life, here's the artist who has drawn the most Heroic Grail characters. I thought for sure Sueda Ipe had it in the bag. Ipe has such a distinct style, and they always use him for some of the manliest dudes in Fire Emblem. Ipe also has some of the most amazing fan art for the game, and his only other artwork was for Dorcas's regular form. However, Ipe is not alone. Also, with 9 Heroic Grail characters drawn is Neko Aru. I love their Vaulter, and you most definitely have seen their artwork because Neko Aru has drawn 21 other units in the game. That's going to also include 2 resplendent outfits for 32 unit artworks. That is crazy, and yet we have over 1,000 heroes in Fae. That's going to wrap it up for this fun look back and breakdown of the 166 Heroic Grail units up to book 7. It's been a wild ride, and I hope you had some fun reminiscing or learned something new. I think to fully draw any kind of conclusions on free-to-play units, you need to also look at the 3 to 4 star demotes because they shape some of the context on the class situations. For example, there are fewer axe infantry demotes and more sword infantry demotes. You then got 3 lance infantry demotes, which just further adds to the absurd lack of non-5 star lance fighters. I was thinking of doing a similar video for the 3 to 4 star units, but not only are there more of them, a lot of them do not have interesting kits at all. In the last 3 years, only 3 of them had unique weapons. I might do a follow-up involving those units, but good lord, I don't think I'm gonna write down stats and notes for another 170 plus heroes. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you for watching, and feel free to share your favorite Grand Hero Battle or Tempest Trials units in the comments. It can be for any reason. I'll see you guys in the next video.